If people can hear us, all right.
We're
Everybody,
going to stream to the world.
Yeah, that was
everyone,
not good.
So when how's the advertising done?
close your eyes. This meeting will come to order for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Call the roll.
Benjamin,
Here.
Baylor,
Here.
Holman,
Here.
Kasdorf,
Here.
Meyer,
Here.
Sardina, here, Tarks.
Here.
Anyone desiring to be heard? None. Consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to pass.
I'll second it.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye. On opposition, say nay. Motion passes. No communications. Committee reports, building board.
Building board met at 5:40 this evening and approved occupancy permits for Skill Span Builders at 12714 West Hampton, Cador Home Improvement, 5235 North 124th Street, and Simply Gorgeous at 4763 North 124th Street. And a report.
Thank you. Library board.
The library board meets next Tuesday. We'll have a report at the next meeting.
Thank you. Report of the administrator.
Just three things for you. We had an amazing election day yesterday. We had 90% turnout once you added in all of the new registrations. We had 89 registrations that came in yesterday. At one time, we had 6. Me and Charlene were tag teaming. Just amazing turnout. Everyone was so great, very, very gracious. I want to thank all the election inspectors. I want to thank all the administrative staff. I also wanted to thank the police department. They were keeping a close eye on us, making sure that no disruptions came to the polling place. So it was a great day yesterday. Our budget document is pretty much complete. There just needs to be one last piece put in there, and then we will be ready for the 19th of November's presentation and vote. And then we also, I wanted to update the board. We have another sponsor for our fireworks next year. The Optimist Club voted last night to, or I should say on the 4th, to approve a sponsorship with us. They have not decided how much they're going to donate, but I have started that conversation with them today. So that is the end of my report.
Thank you. And I also want to follow up on that. I'm thanking everyone that worked long, hard hours yesterday for the election. That was a long day for everyone. It was a big turnout. So it was great that there was no big problems.
Agreed. It was really smooth. When I came in, there was quite a line, and then someone had come in that wanted to register to vote, and it was flawless from what I saw. I mean, you guys had a well-oiled machine, so thank you.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to make a motion to take the agenda out of order and switch to the new businesses because we have a presenter in the audience. Would someone be willing to make a motion on that?
I'll make a motion to rearrange the.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
On opposition, say nay. Motion passes. So at this time, I would like to have the presentation by Superintendent Dr. Milky of the Hamilton School District regarding usage of referendum dollars and performance of the school district. Welcome to the village.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Been here before, but it's been a couple years. Thanks the last time I was here. So thanks for the opportunity. Did this presentation at a recent meeting, and your village administrator asked me to come to the board. I'd be more than happy to share that with you. So just want to share a couple items in terms of where the district currently is at, as well as what's going on with the current referendum, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have. So I just want to start out with our academic success. We are ranked in the 98th percentile by community members. We'll talk about that a little bit later on it. But rankings, if you look at the third bullet point there, we are 7th highest in the state in achievement score, 19th over in accountability, 7th highest in the state in a mathematics score, and 6th highest in reading and language arts. Now, those are the most recent statistics that we have for you. They're going to be releasing the new updated report cards are actually within the next two weeks here, so we'll have them. But Historically, we've trended always somewhere between fifth highest and eighth highest, somewhere in there. This is my 9th year superintendent in the district, and we've pretty much been always in that area. Also, one of the other things we have is we are also the highest, have the highest amount of transcripted credits in Waukesha County. And what that means is our kids get credit while they're in high school, but they also get credit for WCTC. So it's a huge opportunity for them. We'll have some kids that will actually leave with almost an associate's degree already, or a really, really good jump start on things with it. The forward scores came out about a month ago, and those scores are the state testing scores that we have. Waukesha County is probably the highest achieving county in the state of Wisconsin. So to be on the top of that list is a pretty significant achievement. You can see that Hamilton has the highest ELA, which is English Language Arts scores. In the county, we're number one, we remain number one. Science, we were number one, remain number one. And social studies, we were first, remain first. And in our math, I'd like to point out that last year we were third. 2 years ago, we actually fell to sixth, did some different things there. So we're back in the top two for that one. So again, those scores are going to have a huge indication on where we're going to fall for the state report card scores that I just showed you previously. So again, you can anticipate that we're going to do really well in those areas for it. Community survey, I just want to share this out. We did this survey when we were looking at the referendum for the last couple of years. And we had over 2,000 people take the survey. So this isn't just parents saying this. This is community members. Some of you probably took the survey yourselves. But we're really proud of those stats. We had a third party do that, and they said they never see percentiles that high. Basically said you're off the charts. In terms of delivering high quality education, we're 98th percentile. Keeping the public informed, we're 99th percentile. Managing funds appropriately, 66th. Anytime you're asking for money for a referendum, you always get rated a little bit lower in that area because people think you can do a little better. But the company that did it for us said anytime your average number is over 2.5 there, you're doing a really good job. So we're over a 2.5. We did well there. And based on the amount of referendums, if you followed the news yesterday, ours was minuscule in comparison to a lot of them that they got passed yesterday. District growth, want to let you know we're continuing to grow on it. You can see an upward trend, and kind of works out that usually there's about 3 or 4 years of stable or minimal growth, and we shoot up a little bit with things that are going on. And I would anticipate, again, in the next year or two, we're going to get one of those jumps because you can see by the graph that's usually what happens. But we are continually growing. That's a little different. A lot of times read the newspaper or see in the news that school districts are declining enrollment. We are not one of those. We're in about 25% of districts in the state are increasing. We're one of them. Referendum results, just a reminder, we did have 2 questions. Facilities was approved for that, and that ended up being a $25 million approval on that. The big projects in that is in addition to the high school cafeteria, we're going to renovate some classrooms at the high school to better accommodate our applied engineering. They used to be called shop classes. Now they have a fancy name with it, but that's basically our welding and woods. And if any of you ever want to see those programs, please come. I'd be happy to walk you through that facility. It's pretty impressive. And I think it's something that a lot of school districts aren't doing. Our kids that are in that program heavily have really good, basically they're taking trades classes right there. And we actually have a showcase coming up, I think on January 4th. If you want to come in to the building, you can walk through and see some of the projects the kids have. And usually anytime there's businesses there, kids get job offers on the spot for things. Some cafeteria work. Our cafeterias are pretty small, so we're looking at expanding those, renovating that at Templeton. And then our pickup and drop off area, most if you have kids here at Butler, probably go to Marcy. We had traffic backed up significantly on Marcy Road. That has now been corrected because that project is done. But we made some significant improvements there already. And then the addition for Landon Elementary School to handle all the growth that's going on. Menominee Falls, I believe, is I think the second fastest growing community in Wisconsin. It's only behind a community over in Dane County. And Sussex isn't far behind. So between both of those municipalities, we have over 300 home permits. They're going to be just in the Hamilton School District just next year alone. So that's why we needed the space, and that's why we're continuing to grow, and that's why you can continue to see those numbers move. And then we got the $7.6 million for operational costs. That's to cover everything, as you know, you do the same thing here, right? It's to cover salaries and insurance and pay for gas and busing and on everything that goes with it. So just want to highlight a couple things for our building projects. You knew what was going on. This is Lannon. Anything that's in a darker gray is going to be a new addition on there. So you can see we're adding some roadways in and out for that. And on the bottom left, that square on the bottom, we're going to net about 10 additional classrooms when the time is said and done when we do that. It's going to take that building from a 3-section classrooms, which means we have three teachers at each grade level, to 4 teachers at each grade level. Lannon is actually bigger now than it was before our previous referendum, which was about 6 years ago. And that's when we took a whole grade level out. So they've already basically replaced that whole grade level and then added students beyond that. And they get quite a bit of the Menominee Falls growth goes to them. So again, we hear those big numbers on it. That's a lot of them end up at Lannon or Marcy. Go on. So it's kind of hard to see, but on the left there, you can see where it's darker. That's where the additional rooms are going to be. These next shots are a little bit more fun. It's kind of the inside looks like. If you're familiar with Lannon, this is looking from the parking lot at it. So anything on there, they tried to match exactly what's going on with the building. And you can see one side of it. Next slide, they're going to show that's the back side of the area. Now I'm looking from where currently our playground is, if you're familiar with that school on it. And this is the inside. And one of the things I want to really give compliments to PRA, who was our architect, and JP Cullen, who's our construction. They did some really good work, and they actually were able to shrink the scope of some of the things that we were doing and minimize some of the construction at the front of the building, and we utilized a lot of the space. So made use of some closets and some other things and reconfigured that made it so we didn't have to touch front of that building. So that was really good. One thing I will mention is that we have a little bit of a delay with Lannon right now. We just somebody put in that it was a historical building, but nobody knew about it, including the village of Lannon. So we got our permits ready, and right at the end when we were going to start digging, it came up as an historical site, which was interesting because that building's been added on multiple times, and we weren't touching any part that would be historical. So long story short, we're going to be fine. We can do it. Now you just have to, as you know, sometimes you have to go through the permit process, which means a group has to meet, they have to approve it, goes through another group, goes through another group. So it's going to delay our process there by about 60 days or so. We're still going to be in, we're still going to start that project, and it's still going to be done, slated to be done for the start of next school year. This is just an inside look at some of the space that's in there right now. And actually that room that's behind there is kind of considered a common area. A lot of times if there's a bigger space that you need to meet with students, Lanning is the only room right now, or the only school that did not have a common meeting space like that. So it's going to match. I was just at Lannon today, and if they are so crammed for space, there's a table if you walk into like the entryway. That's where the parent group was meeting today. They'll actually have parent meetings out in the front because there's no room to go in the building. So this addition was really sorely needed, and we're going to be really happy to have the space moving forward with it. Next big part is at the high school. You can see we're going to add where that red is on that left. We're going to add some space onto the cafeteria. We have 1,500 students at the high school. We have 3 lunches. We actually almost have 1,600. We're about 1,560. We have 3 lunches, and the cafeteria is rated for 450 students. So I'll let you do the math on that one. That one is pretty cramped on that. So we're adding some space to that. We're going to reconfigure some of the pickup and drop off right there. We lost about 40 parking spots in doing this process. If you're familiar, that's a lot of spots to lose. So the front of the building on the last one, we had spot where we reconfigured a spot. There was a small staff lot. There was about 40 lots. We took them all out and moved them into the front parking lot, which was the newest addition we recently put on. It's the parking lot when you drive by. So we're not going to lose any parking out of this. Actually, you can see that parking lot on the very top of the picture right there. So the one that's on the top right, and then we moved it to one that's on the middle right. You can see there's room in that. So those cars got moved down, moved up. So we're good. That's the question I always get asked about parking with it. These next couple of shots are going to show. So the top half of that the very top half, like Richards Hamilton High School, that's where our gym would be to orientate you on it. And you come down, that's our cafeteria where it is. And then you can see where the wall kind of went in. Because it's an add-on, you have to have a firewall incorporated with it. So that kind of limited some of the things we wanted to do. So we'll show you in the next picture that we had to put a wall right through the middle of that. This is the outside from outside looking in. You can notice that's going to match the current front of the last edition. This is the current cafeteria we have, but that's the current space, but there's some renovation in there. If you've been in there before, you notice it doesn't look like that right now. One of the biggest things we had, and this is the backside, this is as you walk into the building. So you can see the wall going across. They made it trophy cases and things like that because it had to be enclosed. So that was a way for us to like make it look like there wasn't just a wall put out of place there. So they did a nice job with that. That's intended to also have some screen capability like you have right here so that we can run some events or have some groups in using that space as well. Then the other thing that's we're adding with this one right now, we had to set up and take out a lot of things. So our cafeteria staff, it's really hard to hire people right now. So it's additional people to set everything up every day, take everything down. It's going to be basically everything's going to be behind some gates where you just drop the gate down, like garage door style, and then pick it up and you can go in and use it. So that's the new cafeteria space. Templeton Middle School, we're looking at adding a cafeteria. We're actually not expanding, we're just reutilizing some space. So right in the middle of the building there, this is if you'd open the main doors right down that main hallway. On the left, there's the cafeteria. And then on the right, we're going to, if you click, go ahead, you're going to see the space. So that's the existing cafeteria. And then right across the hall from that, we're going to turn that area into cafeteria. Right now, we have about 75 to 90 students eating in a different area than our regular cafeteria, which causes supervision issues and movement because they're actually all the way down the hall. If you're familiar with Templeton, they're eating in the current entryway of where the main gym is. So that'll get them all in basically one space. We're going to make use of some of the things that we currently have there, like the cabinetry and things that you see in the back currently exist. So we're just going to reutilize, kind of reconfigure this space so we can have it. And again, you can see there's a couple screens in that. The idea with both cafeteria spaces, we'll be able to use it for meeting spaces when it's not a cafeteria or testing or some other things like that. Next couple here, this is Marcy Elementary. Basically, they added a parking lot to that. Can you slide up just a little bit to see the bottom? I don't know if is that possible. So you can see where Marcy Road is coming right there. And then on the right there where all the red is, they added an entryway. And then if you were familiar, Marcy, basically we on the left here, we had cars that would park on the left, then there'd be 3 lanes of traffic, and then there'd be cars parked, and then 2 more lanes of traffic, and then cars parked, and parents would come in 5 rows at a time. The first time I saw it, I thought it was amazing that it was that well organized, but it was still a little broken up. So now what we've done basically is instead of 5 lanes, we have 7 lanes that are there, got the cars moved out. So we had to extend some of the playground and the parking lot area, put some fencing in for some safety. So we basically went from 5 lines to 7 lines, got all the cars off the traffic. So when you're there now, it moves a lot easier. And by simply moving the driveway down a little bit further for the buses, it allows a handful of extra cars to get through because the buses, the way the busing configuration works. I was talking to the principal. I said it makes a massive difference. They're getting out several minutes earlier every day, which is a bonus. But really, getting all the traffic off of that is a great deal for the community. And then last one, so that one's completed. They just have to take some fencing off of that one, the temporary fencing from when they did the retention area. And this is Maple Elementary, so this one's right in Sussex, right on Maple. They're going to add that whole bottom driveway there. Right now at the top of the screen, you can see there's a sidewalk right there. So what happens is a lot of the kids go there and then they cross that really busy walk. They either have to cross coming down to the sidewalk, so they have to cross the driveway like coming down, or across the screen they have to cross Maple. So it's a lot of congestion. All the traffic goes through there. In this new configuration, most of the foot traffic or bikes come from the south end or the bottom of your screen from that. So by adding that, by adding a sidewalk and an entryway there, all the students coming up don't even have to get up that far. It takes them completely out of that. Won't have to stop for traffic, won't have to cross any kind of lane like that. When I was doing the referendum talks, I was talking to a couple that lives directly across from that. And as soon as I told them that, they said, we're voting. We don't need to hear anything more because we'll get all the traffic off of our area. So this project is going to be done as soon as schools completed this year, and then it'll be up and running. All the projects will be completed for the start of next school year. Then beyond that, there's a lot of other things that we're doing with that money. These are replacing some of the things that are happening. And if you're familiar, because you're working with big systems, if we have to replace the paging system of one of our buildings, it could be several $100,000 to $500,000. If we have to replace a chiller system, it could be same thing, $500,000. So what the dollars do that we had are going to replace all of those, and those are just the highlighted projects. There's several other ones that are going to get completed. The one we're actually doing right now is kind of exciting, is they are replacing all of the lockers in the girls' locker room. They were really small. Used to be about this, old school locker rooms, about that big, about the probably size of your black tile that's right there. Kids couldn't fit really anything in there. The lockers just got replaced, and they're significantly bigger, so they can actually get a backpack or a softball bat or a tennis racket in that area and bring it up. So that's happening right now. But those are most of the things that are happening. Our webpage is going to start updating things that are going on. With that, we'll have photos and everything going up. But right now we haven't had a lot because we're just on a little bit delay for some of the digging to happen. They have started at the high school with the cafeteria. They've taken off the overhang so far, and they've started on some of the prep work to start digging and put it together. So there's a quick rundown of anything that's going on. I'd be happy to answer any questions you talked about or anything school district related.
With the 300 homes coming, is that going to be a capacity issue for you?
I think we're going to be fine. If you look at it, we have room. We have room in Maple and we have room in Woodside. Maple, there's a lot of growth that's going over by Maple right now, but that used to be a 4-section school that kind of went down to 3, and now it's going back to 4, and we still have room. So we're good there. The other thing, it was, I don't want to pat ourselves on the back, but it was a really good decision to build a 5-6 building that took the 5th grade classes out of all the elementaries, because it opened up space for all of those schools. And then the 6th grade class came out of Templeton, so it opened up space there. So as we look at it, the building I'd be most worried about would be Lannon, and we're taking care of that right now. Marcy's still got a little bit of space in. With the new subdivisions and things coming in, we can also have we could redistrict and direct some of those to places that aren't even built yet, then it's not a big deal with it. Our middle school should be totally fine. We took a 6th grade completely out of there, so we got a bunch of space there. Our high school should be in a really good spot. The biggest place we had concerns was like the common areas. So that's like the cafeteria on it. If we would continue to, and Silver Spring has room yet there as well. If we continue to grow if they start putting in 300 homes every year for the next 5 or 6 years, we have the ability to add an addition onto Silver Spring. It was built with that in mind. So we pre-planned for that, and we have a house system over there. We have four houses. We basically can add a 5th. At the high school, when we built that addition was built so they could handle a 2nd level. So very relatively cheaply, we could add 14 classrooms onto that, and that would be more than we would probably need. So that's really the biggest challenge we're going to have right now is like our gym space is really small. Some of our athletic fields are not well positioned. But it's really hard to have, like, you can't have baseball going on at the same time as that you have a track going on, and now we have lacrosse that's coming on. So we're adding all these sports. We're trying to be creative with some of that, maybe do some fundraising or things to do something different with the baseball field. Village of Sussex right now is looking at doing a baseball complex. If we can work something out with them, we'll try to go ahead and do that so that we can partner and do some things that way. So classroom space, I think we're going to be okay. It's going to be some of those, like I said, it would have been great to get some gym space or some athletic field space out of that, but we're in a really good spot.
When you had mentioned taking the tour, and I took that tour last year at the meeting, and I had never been to that school. I didn't go there. So it was neat to see like the different labs and the equipment. And I mean, the kids were actively participating. So it was good to see that.
Yeah, I give a number of tours of that a year. It's fallen off a little bit now because it's a handful of years old. But if anybody would like to go see them, I'd be happy to take you through. And usually we hit it at some point where one of the teachers has has some time where they can give you the details. I can give you the overview on some of the cool stuff, but they'll actually know they can get into the details and nitty gritty on stuff. But kids love showing off the things that they have. And if you haven't got a chance to see it, it's pretty impressive, because I think there's a belief out there that schools aren't doing that or offering those opportunities for schools. And I don't know about other districts, but Hamilton definitely is.
Just out of curiosity, how many students do you have from Butler?
Well, off the top of my head, I would
I-
have to, I can get back to you. I'll let you know
Let
so you
them
can let
know.
the board know, but
Thank you.
I'll get back to you on how many of that.
Because I have
is.
seen, well, it's probably K4 and 5. The bus goes by and there's only 3 kids in there and that.
I'll be pretty sure we have a full bus from Butler on it. I can
Later
say,
on,
so,
yeah.
A referendum dollar wise, is that going to be enough? Do you anticipate to last a while? Or
Yeah, so it's a little bit dependent on what the state does. If the state if the state would come back and say, hey, we're gonna fund you at inflation, then I'd say we're fine for the next 10 plus years. If they're gonna choose to not do that, I still think we're gonna be in a really good spot for the next 7-ish years. But a lot of that really depends on if what happens with the state funding. We'll know this first year of a biennium budget, so we'll see what happens with that.
I think Ben gave us a heads up on your budget number. Did you have a referendum discussion?
No, they just sent the levy
levy.
tax certification. So, the levy isn't going up significantly this year for Hamilton.
So when we did, and this is gonna be a little different because we forecast the overall number and then the villages are a little bit different. So, but we said there's gonna be a 49-cent impact on it. And right now we're at only a 13-cent. All of the $7.6 million referendum pieces on there. And then the 25 million, we borrowed it in halves. So we borrowed $12.5 million. We were able to do that. And then we don't have to, we can save on interest and all that stuff. We pay it out the next year come, then we'll take a second borrow. So we kind of save some money doing some things that way. And then the other thing that also allowed us to do is spread out the tax levy hit another year. So we should be significantly under what we predicted would have been 49 cents. We're at 13 cents right now. And again, things can always change with state funding and how they figure stuff, and it's weird, but I think next year might be a 10 or 15 cent somewhere in there, probably range, and that should be it then. So significantly less than we had projected.
Well, and I also remember part of that tour, some of the equipment was, 30, 40, 50 years old. So
Yeah, that got replaced.
yeah, like the
So-
chillers and the boilers and
Yeah,
That-
those, yes.
and
So with
equipment-wise,
some of
so-
those pieces are on, we have a couple pieces that pieces of equipment they don't make pieces for anymore.
right.
And we have a couple guys that can fabricate or do some things and help us out to keep them running. But some of those are kind of getting to a point where they're at end of life.
And then I also take note of that Sussex Hamilton does have very good results, which makes it good and something to be proud of. So
Yeah,
thank
I
you for
appreciate
that,
Yeah, thank you.
especially being so toward the top. That's nice to see. Makes it a lot easier.
So with your new trades classes, you're, bringing back, not new, right? You guys really didn't go away with them, but I know they've kind of been left to the wayside through the years. A lot of school districts have done that. How many different trade classes, if you will, are you guys offering now?
So if you come and look at, we have a woods class that also has woods and construction. And each time I say a class, there's going to be a lab space or a classroom space where they sit and get construction. And then there's a whole lab kind of behind it. They have it. We have an engineering portion that's more where kids are learning electronics and circuitry and all those things like that. There is a fabrication. The kids have like CNC machines and things like that they can actually design and make pieces, things on it. There's a whole welding lab that we have, welding stations. I think there's 16 in there, the individual welding booths that they can go ahead and do things. A couple of the booths have articulating arms, which means they can come out and they can do some bigger projects that are on those. So welding, fabrication, there's robotics also in some of that, so the kids can know how to programming some of the arms and things like that, which you would see like pickers off of assembly lines and things like that. So they get experience doing some of those. And we also have a graphics lab, and do graphics, anything from like T-shirts and posters to like window vinyls and things like that that they can put on. That class is neat. It gets run kind of like a business. So let's say you're in the drama department and you're running Cinderella for the musical that year. You can actually, they put an order, so it goes to the kids. The kids figure it out what it all is, does an order. It gets designed all right there. They actually manufacture it and, get it to some clubs. Advantage of that. But I think drama is one of the main ones that does that. And some of our home and schools also take advantage of that.
Do you guys run any auto classes?
Auto's the one thing that we don't have with it. And I think the biggest struggle right now with having qualified people come in, and they end up being also very expensive because they can go anywhere they want. So their starting salaries end up being significantly higher.
Mm-hmm.
And then if we get them in Hamilton, the stuff they get trained on with between the CNC machines and some of the other, like the high tech stuff we have for even in the woods of shopping. I mean, you've seen it. It's pretty impressive. And some of the fabricating machines they have, training goes in is pretty significant. So it's a pretty high cost. And if you add in a auto space, we've talked to a couple other districts that had it, and they were having a really, really hard time having somebody to keep somebody in there. So autos is about the only one that we don't cover. They get some form of electrical and things like that, and into construction.
Mm-hmm.
So we can't do everything. But
No, right.
Yeah, but
But I mean, the construction, there's going to be a huge need for that.
Yeah.
I mean, there already is, right? So I think it's great that you guys are seeing that and bringing or putting some more attention to those classes that kind of were just, I think,
Forgotten.
left alone for a while.
The one of the neatest things we did actually is those classes were in the back of the building. And what we did is if you go around and take a tour, it's all windows now into the hallway. And then they're all very well lit on them. So when kids walk by, they see the projects that are going on. We've expanded the number of teachers in that class. We're running out of space right now. Like that, what part of the other piece of the referendum is we need some more lab space because we have so many kids that are taking those classes.
That's great.
So I want to say, so we have 1,500 kids. They run about 700 kids through there every year. Now that may mean that one kid has taken 4 classes, so it might not be a unique kid, but that's how many kids at some point. And I think about a third, or at least a third, if not more, of our students take something at one point.
That's awesome.
Yeah, graphics is really popular with some of the kids, and actually we're getting some more girls on some of those classes too now, which is pretty good.
Yep.
Because you typically don't have females interested in those positions.
It's cool. I'd like to take that tour. I definitely will reach out.
Yeah, just reach out to the school districts and we'll set you up. And I would say give yourself an hour maybe to go through it, especially if we have kids there, because they're fun to talk to and the kids can explain what they're doing.
Yeah.
It's super impressive.
Are you going to be pushing the young ladies towards welding and stuff like that too? Or
Yeah, we've had an increase in that. I know for sure in the woods classes, we've had a significant amount. I know in the graphics classes, quite a few take that class. I think we did have a couple in welding. I know I saw, because I was last year I was getting a tour for, or I was talking to one of the teachers in the back, and he was showing me one of the works that one of the a girl had done for that. So we have, I don't think it's super popular in welding, but we're starting to get a couple kids in. And usually once you get 1 or 2 in, they see it in a couple
I really
months.
hope you can get some more ladies into welding
Yeah.
specifically, because you can make unlimited amount of money with it,
Yeah.
with a good welder.
Any other question? Oh, are you staffed up, or do you have a teacher shortage or anything like that? Or are you doing pretty good?
We're rare in that all of our teaching positions are filled. The only thing that the couple positions we have challenges with are like special ed assistants or like paras, we call them educational assistants. It's kind of hard to find those sometimes. And then our busing, which is run by Dairyland, but we're finally in a spot right now where they're actually getting a couple extra. So busing has been a challenge for us. Other than that, we've been pretty good. So Hamilton's got a pretty good reputation. So we don't really have any teacher vacancies, which is great. And not a lot of districts can say that. So
Excellent. Any other questions? Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it.
Have a good night. Now we'll go back to new business, item number 1, discussion and possible action on resolution 24-19, a resolution to adopt the Village of Butler's official investment policy.
Yes, so the state has a statute, I believe it's statute 66, that basically outlines how the village can invest its money among other things. And one of the things that how this came up was I was talking with the library about their funding needs and opportunities and how they can, expand and make revenue that doesn't involve tax dollars. And when I spoke with our attorney on just the process of going about that, he stated that, well, you need to amend your village authorized depositories. I could not find a list of authorized depositories. I looked through countless years, I think go back to 2007 for resolutions that had that information. I couldn't find any. So we currently have our money with, I believe, 4 places: First Business Bank, Town Bank, LGIP, the local government investment pool, and Ellers, financial advisors. That's where our water revenue bonds are. So basically, this policy is a policy that is put forward. It was part of a model policy that Ellers gave me that a lot of municipalities adopt. In addition to that, we have our attorneys that added some legal language on there with regards to state statute and its adoption. So it's, in my opinion, it's a pretty strong policy. Just from our financial advisors approved it and our attorneys approved it. So that's kind of what's in front of you today. Just talking, it talks all about how much liquidity they need to have, making sure that they don't have all their eggs in one basket, making sure that the village is keeping its money in a couple different places. It's not just putting it all in one bank. Then we have I forgot what bank that was, that bank out west that failed, and there was all those issues a couple years ago. So just very basic policies that I think that the village needs to have in place and on the books, in case there's any questions on how we invest the taxpayer dollar.
Is this something that falls under the eyes of our auditor then?
It is, and if you go back to the audit, they make a mention every year of our investment policy, saying that we can't have more than, I think, 750,000 in any one particular bank. And they say that, and I was never able to find that. I don't know if they were told that that was our policy and that's what they ran with. But yes, they monitor that and they cross-reference what the village has its money in versus our policy. I tried to get some more flexibility just because we do have this big influx every year with taxes and whatnot, where we have way more than $750,000. So in the policy, I kind of gave us a little bit of room on that.
And then when they audit, do they just look beyond what's where to the actual transactions that take place throughout the year?
Correct. So they take random. They want us to give them all the bank statements for the year. They randomly select bank reconciliations from the year, and they do go through our trial balance, which is basically it ends up being like, if you put in a PDF, it's like 130 some pages long of every check that Aaron does, every receipt that we do. They go through all of that.
Yeah. Okay, great. I was just looking for healthy accountability in there.
Yep.
So that's all. Okay, great.
Is the monies that we have at the banks right now, that's all protected or?
Yes, it's
insured?
all collateralized. Correct. Town Bank has the normal FDIC protection is 250,000. They have all of our money markets in what is called a MaxSafe account. They're one of the only banks that has this. It offers protection for each account up to $1 million. So it's a very unique system, but it is all collateralized and guaranteed.
So I saw one amount here of 1.2 million, over 1.2. I just had a page.
It's on, what page is this?
Page.
It's number 3 under loan reserves.
Thank you. Page 6. Loan reserves must be 1% or more of the gross loans. And then it talks about financial institutions holding village deposits in excess of 1.25 million. Do we have any monies outside of the FDIC insured that we have to use another bank or no?
So it is my understanding that the one that I would have to check up on is the First Business Bank, because I do not receive a collateralized. Every month I get a collateralized list from Town Bank that lists all the money that we have in there and the collateralization of it, and I keep that because the bank wants the auditors want that as well. But I don't get that from them. Again, that money was transferred there years ago, and I don't know why because we don't have a resolution that authorized that. But I don't believe that we have anything that is to that extent. But that bank account does, I think, have like $850,000 in it.
And then can you mix accounts? And by that, I mean, like, can the water fund and the general fund be at the same bank? Or does it have to be in separate accounts?
It doesn't. At Town Bank, we have what's called commingled cash in the auditor language. So every time that we have water billing, court citations, whatever, that all goes to our checking account, and then it gets swept over if it's over a certain amount into a savings account. And all that money stays together. But then the whole purpose of the general ledger is we have, and Aaron can back me up on this, is we have like Fund 100, 5 zeros, and then 104, 10004, which is cash Town Bank for general fund. Then we have a 200 account and a 300 account with the same number. So it tells us how much cash we have in the bank per each fund. So we can have it commingled. We do have separate funds for money markets that when you look at our financial statements every month, you'll see that there's interest pretty much on every single fund, and those are independent. The interest that we earned on that is all independent with LGIP, with Town Bank. If you were to look at our bank account, we have all the different money markets segregated.
So if you took Fund X that had $500,000 in it total, that $500,000 would be accountable from the different accounts on our side of it, saying this much is in part of that 500,000, this much is that part. Okay.
Correct. And yeah, and you're going to have some funds that are like quote unquote, like, in the red that balance out funds that are, higher up. It's basically, it's this whole kind of ebb and flow of the monies that come in, depending on borrowed money, general fund and stuff like that. So like it accounts for it. It all is supposed to equal when I do my bank reconciliation, what we have in that needs to match what we actually have in the bank. Okay. And so every year we reconcile back to that $0 mark, where if you take a look at all the general ledger 104 accounts, they equal what our two bank accounts, the sweep account, which is the checking account, and the savings account equal.
What is the Waukesha County Community Foundation?
So that is something that the library is looking at, utilizing for their to grow. Charlene can discuss that a little bit if you have more questions on that. But that's a path that they're exploring, and I included them on that list just in case we were to move that money. And that's a whole resolution process that would have to happen with the library board.
Okay. Any other questions for Ben? Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2419.
I'll second it.
I heard Mark and Brad. Any discussion has been made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All in opposition, say nay. Motion passes. Thank you. And a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that. Motion has been made and seconded to adjourn. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
On opposition, say nay. Motion passes. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
6:45.